Näthat very roughly translates into web hate. It's a corny word being used in Sweden almost exclusively when it comes to extremely stupid people saying extremely stupid things and then receiving a perfectly fitting response to having said extremely stupid things. I want to in this video take a closer look at how specifically women use this buzzword in order to not only further their own careers but also receive a type of immunity against criticism in the public sphere when voicing their ideas. Because despite it being men who receive the greatest amount of näthat online, women are the people who primarily benefit from it. I believe that every action has a counter-reaction. Everything you say and do creates a potential aspect or situation which can be, for you, undesirable. You work towards furthering the well-being of an oppressed group of people, the oppressor will target you instead. You refuse to use violence. You empower the people who don't have an issue with using violence. You say things that are not true in order to further a political agenda and feed a false narrative which you believe in the long run will do good. Logical people will attack you severely for lying, no matter of your good intentions. And you will get completely smashed due to that they have all the facts on their side. Action, counter-reaction. This is Linda Snecker, a member of parliament for the Left Party in Sweden. She has in a short period of time produced some of the dumbest comments I've heard and read in later years. She also, coincidentally, incessantly complains about being the victim of hate campaigns against her online, many times saying that it's based upon her being a woman. This behavior was also seen by English journalist Kathy "So You're Saying" Newman at Channel 4 News.
You're saying you've done your research and women are unhappy dominating men.
I didn't say they were unhappy
I think that's the way it is.
Well, I'm not saying
But you're
anything.
saying basically it doesn't matter if women aren't getting to the top. You're saying, well, that's just a fact of
Not
life.
saying
Women
it
aren't
doesn't
necessarily
matter.
going to get to the top. You're saying if it's at the cost, you're saying it's because women are too agreeable to ask for pay rises. You're saying that women aren't intelligent enough?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
After her completely catastrophic interview with Jordan Peterson, she and her supporters in part attributed the massive online backlash that she faced to her gender and not to her poor performance during the interview. So women like Snecker and Newman believe that criticism against women is somehow linked more heavily to their gender and not to their shitty reasoning and bad arguments. Women in both politics and journalism have historically faced an unequal amount of resistance and scrutiny. True, but this is today a narrative that needs to be put away, despite it being a lot of women's within these fields' favorite toy. It has become a soft cushion which can unapologetically be thrown under your ass when you slip up in public. People are only mad because I'm a woman. It's dishonest, pathetic, and ironically pretty sexist because it implies that a woman's gender is the primary obstacle which needs to be overcome in order to be respected as an intellectual or an opinion leader, and not the failing arguments and the flawed reasoning behind them. If you have a collection of great arguments, people will, in the West at least, 9 times out of 10 completely ignore the gender of the person saying it. Because that's the least interesting part about what's being presented. We want to hear about your ideas. And if you want to be equally respected to men as thinkers, you need to put away the cushion. But this is for the supporters of identity politics extremely difficult because gender, and also race, is for them at the forefront, while reasoning and arguments always come second. And it shows, because this is why women like Snecker and Newman are so lousy at constructing their arguments and presenting solid and well thought out points. Their womanhood has for years been used as a shield, which in their view then allows them to without resistance spew extremely insulting but more importantly factually incorrect comments publicly, and then squeal misogyny when they receive any form of criticism.
För vi kan inte se på dig om du är en våldtäktsman eller inte. Och därför förutsätter vi att alla män är våldtäktsmän. Det är den brutala sanningen. Det är så ett strukturellt problem ser ut. Det är därför som män måste ta sitt kollektiva ansvar. Alla män.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Just imagine if a man, especially a white man, would as a politician get up on a podium in parliament and proudly proclaim, "We should assume that all women are gold-digging prostitutes. We as men can't see on a woman if this is or isn't the case. This is the brutal truth. That is what a structural problem looks like. This is why women have to take their collective responsibility. All women." Just imagine how thoroughly demolished such a man's political career would be. But Linda Snecker gets away with branding all men as being temporarily dormant sadistic monsters only due to her gender. She sits firmly on her female identity cushion and throws shit down at those lacking the privilege to do so back at her. Not only saying that all men should be assumed to be rapists, but also demanding that all men begin to root out these sexual sadists among our ranks, implying that men somehow would in any way be more capable of curing fundamentally fucked up individuals who get aroused from hurting and sexually abusing women. Here's a brutal truth for you, Linda. Men are just as oblivious to the inner workings of the broken moral compass of a rapist as women are. My solution to solving the problem with rapists is a bullet to the head. There ends my analysis. But should we perhaps ask a criminal psychologist instead? Maybe he or she has a bit more expertise on the topic, instead of yet again pandering to identity politics and expect all men to, for some reason, have this collective, nearly telepathic bond which allows us to rewire sexually violent and sick men. I don't hang out with men who beat and rape women. I've never even heard about any guys I know who have done something like that. So do I spend my time with the most perfectly moral, flawless men in the country? Or is the case perhaps that the extremely small clique of men who rape and beat women don't give a damn about the social stigma which exists regarding the behavior and are as such non-receptive, not only towards women but also to men? What do you think? People like Linda Snecker receive hate online because their comments are unbelievably stupid and insulting. She spews bullshit at about 50% of the country's population and then plays the damsel in distress when men, but also intelligent and non-misandrist women, throws it back at her.
Fuck you.
She does shit like write on Twitter about how tough sentencing has no effect when we're talking about brown gang members, but when we're talking about primarily white Johns buying pussy, well then we should lock them all up and throw away the key. How does that logic even work, Linda? That's the type of shit you get hate for. Online hate will be an eternal constant for any public person. That's why you politicians earn ridiculous amounts of money, have increased personal protection, and might need to give up on some of the liberties which can only be afforded to the rest of us. You can't censor it away. You can't make the internet into a warm and cuddly paradise through putting on this online thought police that goes to work, hounding the population for wrongthink. You are destined to always lose. You ban certain words online for being sexist hate speech. People just invent new ones. You try to remove content, which is pretty much all of your content, that makes you look like an idiot, and people like me download the video, screen cap the tweets, and repost and re-upload faster than you can say the Streisand effect. Stop hiding behind your gender, or your race for that matter, and get better arguments. Get better arguments or face the consequences. You are not an oppressed class. You are not a damsel in distress. You are a woman. And as such, you are equally capable of studying, thinking, rehearsing, and becoming bulletproof in your reasoning. You are not a victim. There is no excuse. Your behavior has no excuse. And for being someone who is a self-proclaimed feminist, your views on women isn't exactly empowering. Put away the cushion, Miss Snecker. Take some responsibility and think the next time before you open your mouth. Grow up.
I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains. I'm gonna bash them right the fuck in.